Hello and welcome back to Houston. No, wait, not Houston. We have a podcast. Oh my God, I already fucked it up. The Fan and the Critic podcast. This is our second episode as after our rebrand. So I apologize for. I'm sorry, NASA. Don't sue me. But we're joined as always. We have Carson, who is your regular host. I'm taking
Yo.
over hosting duties. And we're joined by Mena, who you may remember from our infectious disease episode. And Dan, good old Dan, veteran of the podcast. We've dragged him back so we can talk about some incredibly bad, nonsensical movies. Yeah, I volunteered to host today for no other reason than to implore the team, which is basically Carson, that we should never do an Asylum Studios based episode ever again. This was by far the most painful episode that I've had to prepare for. And that's saying a lot because I don't often, well, actually, it's not saying much because I don't often prepare, but it's still saying a lot because the movie that I have watched was absolutely terrible. Which is the point of the studio, I suppose. But we'll get into that. So what we did today, or what we did, is out of generosity, we offered to we teamed up, or we paired up, and we gave each other a movie to watch from the extensive catalog of Asylum, and we watched them, and we're going to tell you what happened. So, I mean, before we get into that, let's. I think Carson would like to say a few words about this studio. So, Carson, take it away.
So, a little bit of history for those of our fans out there that haven't listened to every single episode that we've done. This is our second episode that we've done on Asylum Studios. We did one previously where we also watched 4 movies. Dan, you were on that one. You watched some terrible movies with me. I think it was Atlantic Rim we both watched, which is the mockbuster of Pacific Rim. It was terrible, but not in a terrible, funny way. These movies they're just boring. They're not, there's a lot of YouTube channels or movie reviewers out there who find those entertainingly bad movies that you can laugh about and joke about with your friends. These are not those movies. These are just really poorly made, kind of boring movies to talk about. So I will probably agree with you, Paulo, that we should not do a third episode. I'll quote myself in the intro to episode 3 when we eventually don't listen to ourselves and do that. But before we talk about them, I'll give some kind of brief background behind Asylum. They started out as a couple guys trying to make some cheap horror movies because they just wanted to get into the filmmaking industry. They then did a ripoff of War of the Worlds, which got a lot of attention and tricked a lot of people in the news to thinking that it was the actual War of the Worlds movie with Tom Cruise that was coming out that same year. And they said, hey, this is it. This is what we got to do. We got to make fake movies that are copies of movies coming out. So they've done that, but then they also got some acclaim with the Sharknado series. And so that's kind of their second type of movie that they have. They have their blockbusters and then they have their big creatures, which, creatures appeal to international audiences, and I think that's a big part of what the studio is being just financially sustainable enough to keep producing movies. I did some research to find out how profitable this movie is. Apparently, not a single movie that they've ever done has ever lost money. They are very profitable, and the way that they do that is because they basically make a movie in 30 days. They come up with the title and the poster first. They give it to a director and they said, you are making this movie. You got, 30 days to shoot it. We have our team of people in the studio, kind of like professional editors or sound people that are just cranking out editing, like doing the post-production on these movies as fast as possible. So they keep their costs low and they churn out just enough profit to keep doing it over and over and over again. I'm going to go a little bit into, as we review some of these movies, because the first episode we did was kind of in the kind of mid-2000s movies, and I've now watched some movies that actually came out last year, and I've noticed some changes in, I don't know if you'd call them improvements or not, but changes in the way that their movies have come out. So I'll mention that trend as we go, but I think that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're talking too harshly about these movies, is that someone made this in 30 days. They had whatever props were around, they had whatever sound effects are on, whatever tool that they bought their sound effects from. They're not making sound effects. Their visual effects are whatever is available to them, and they are just churning that out as quickly and efficiently as possible, which explains the end result.
Carson, do you know where they shoot them? Is it in the U.S.?
They're in Hollywood.
Oh, it is in Hollywood. Okay.
Yeah. Which is where they get a lot of their B actors who are trying to do something, because they just have that, I don't want to call it talent, but quote unquote talent at their disposal to just get people to quickly make a movie for them.
Do you think it also makes sense for why there are gaping plot holes sometimes? Do they also write the script in 30 days, or is that...
Oh, yeah. No, it's like they have to churn it out as quickly as possible. And if it doesn't make sense, it's like, just think about if you had 30 days to make a movie. And that's basically who's making these movies, which gives me hope that one day I could write a script. Yeah. But no, it's funny. There's actually like a few articles about the company. There's like a GQ article that did a whole rundown on them. And they talked about some of the actors that come back and do roles for them. And one of the guys was basically like, yeah, anytime I like need something new for my house, I'll just go do a movie. And he's like, this movie I did was really garbage, but hey, I got a new bookshelf out of it. And that's all I really did it for. And it's like, okay. But I think I appreciate them a little more having researched it a little bit, because I researched them with the expectation that I would find something sleazy that we could talk about and kind of laugh about, but they just seem like guys who want to make movies, and they don't have a lot at their disposal, and they're just trying to do the best they can. And, you know, over the course of 20 years, they've gotten a little bit better. So kudos to them on the business efficiency model. Their movies are still terrible. They still suck. Like, I'm not going to say otherwise. But tiny bit of appreciation for them. I'm not going to like shit on the people too much.
I will say, like, because I did a bit of research on them as well. I looked at their Twitter and everything, and they do seem to. I don't know if it's kind of a weird balance, I guess. I don't know if they actually care about it, or it seems like they care maybe more so now about the movies that they're making, and they're like you said, they're having fun doing it. More power to them. Still hate it.
They seem like they care about the people. Like, they have a lot of recurring people that are on. And like Michael Ironside, he just passed away. He did like 6 or 7 movies with them. And so like he was a person that they knew, that they worked with. And so there was that personal connection there. It's not just like, oh, we need to get Michael Ironside because people know his name. It's like, yeah, they knew him. They were friends with him, it seems like.
So what do you guys think about the idea? This is a friend of mine mentioned this to me because he worked in a used movie store, used video store way back in the day when those things were still around, VHSs. And he said that, you know, grandmas would come back to the store and she'd be like, I got tricked. I was looking for Transformers, not Transmorphers. And so, you know, he was thinking that it maybe this is way back in the day when they started, but it was like a deliberate scam to get people to like buy the movie thinking that it was the real thing. I don't know. That kind of goes against what you were reading about
like,
them.
It's blatantly what they're doing. Yeah. I mean, for a lot of them, they have like, obviously there's the I'll say unique ideas like Sharknado and I guess Two-Headed Shark Attack, which is the one that I watched. Right. Stuff like that. They have that, but then they also have like the mockbusters, as Carson mentioned. Like those are specifically made to be a play on or a copy of the real blockbuster that's coming out at the time. And I also like, I guess the timeline also adds up because they'll find out, okay, this movie's coming out in the next couple months. We have 30 days to make this to
release it at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
The pieces are all coming together.
I bet you they make more money off the mockbusters than the. Actually, I don't know. Sharknado seems
Sharknado's
like quite a popular one.
Yeah.
Difficult to say.
They do. They have a bit of a following now, I will say. And I also thought it was interesting, or kind of ironic that I think War of the Worlds was the first one, Carson, that you said that they made, which like it's kicked off this whole mockbuster thing. When like back in the day, wasn't War of the Worlds? There was like a story about how it was played on the radio as like a I don't know, they're telling the story of War of the Worlds on the radio, and then people were freaking out thinking that aliens were actually invading.
Yeah, they thought the Martians had actually landed. But the funny thing is, the radio production, it wasn't intended to fool anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
It just
So they're modern day. I don't know.
Orson Welles, who did that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's funny. I've read like multiple articles with them where they said they hate the term mockbuster, that they would prefer to say that they are tie-ins to existing movies.
Oh, fuck off.
That's a bit much. Yeah.
I mean, I respected them up until that point. I had to say, I appreciate the hustle of trying to make a movie in 30 days, you know?
Mina's like
a
nuts to them.
Model. Yeah, you know, it's like a startup model. It's like, yeah, a startup company, you're going to try and take a chunk of the market, but to say that you're, you know, just as good.
Before we all start ripping into like the movies that we watched, I'll get my props out of the way and just be like, I'll treat this, I guess, in the back of my mind like a UFC fighter. I can talk all the shit I want about like these guys that like they'll fight in the cage, but it'll be a boring fight. But I've never gotten in there and done it, so
yeah,
good job making those 30-day movies, guys.
Look, for an amateur UFC fighter, I would definitely say like the worst UFC fighter would still kick my ass. I think I could act better than some of these people. And I'm not I can't act.
I don't know. You, Carson?
Carson could play some specific characters.
Okay, I'll change that. I could write a better script in 30 days than some of these scripts.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think it also has to do. We'll get into this as well, but like with direction, I mean, with the time limit, I don't know if they have enough. They'll obviously not take too long on a certain scene and. Okay, this is good enough. Let's move on, type thing. You know.
Yeah. The last comment I have before we kick off the movies is I read there was an article where they said the CEO, he was known for making actors cry with some of the like feedback he had in scenes, like harsh criticisms of their work. And I was just thinking, like, I don't think anyone in any of these productions has ever given feedback to anyone else. They shoot, they do it once, and it's whatever it is, they're moving on. So I could never find any second article that referred that point again, but I did see it on one and I laughed. Okay,
it was the one movie that David O. Russell did for them. It's probably because he was notoriously.
Did David O. Russell actually do a movie for them?
No, he didn't. I just it's a very obscure reference that I just I heard him that he was like abusive to his actors type thing.
Yeah, he's an asshole. Okay, so going first, Paulo, you're going to talk about your movie, but the way we're going to do this is, actually, didn't explain this part. Each of us have recommended a movie to someone else here. So we didn't get to choose our own movies of what we got to watch. Someone else watched it. So Mena, you recommended a movie for Paulo. So why don't you explain why you picked what you did? And then Paulo, you'll tell us all about the movie.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks, Carson. So I picked for Paulo Two-Headed Shark Attack, and reason is pretty simple. You know, I'm not a complex guy. I mean, I know Asylum Studios is known for being low budget, although this is, you know, been a great conversation. Definitely been educated on the process. But anyways, knowing that they're not great movies, I thought I'd be a little bit nice to Paulo and at least give him some eye candy. So, notably, you know, Carmen Electra's in there. Plus, there's a scene. This is not a spoiler of anything plot.
Wait, Carmen Electra?
Yeah, she's in it.
She is in that movie.
Yeah.
What?
Also, there's a scene where there's like a threesome, kind of. Well, I won't say it. It doesn't get that far, but there's.
Don't worry, I'll describe that in detail for you.
So Paul's a good friend, and I want to be a little bit nice. That's really the rationale there. But yeah, Paul, go for it. What
I appreciate the thought, Mena. I appreciate the intention. But I think what we got was not it's not what you were hoping for. I also need to give you your shout out, Mena, for actually watching the movie that you gave me, because there was no chance I was going to watch the movie I gave you. But yeah, as you've mentioned, Carmen Electra is in this movie. Halfway through the movie, she seems to forget that she's in the movie, but I'll get into that. So I guess I'll give an overview of the plot of Two-Headed Shark Attack. The plot is that there's a two-headed shark and it's attacking people. That's it. It's the Banshees of Inisherin of the Asylum, where Banshees of Inisherin, these two friends are not friends anymore. This is two-headed shark are not friends with people and they eat them. So I took notes watching this, and I'm gonna try my best to make this make sense as I go through as I talk about this movie. But basically, what I found was that this movie was an excuse or it's an exercise in writing to find ways to have two people at the same time in the water, so that two heads of a shark could eat them both at the same time. That's the whole extent of why it matters that there's a two-headed shark. It doesn't matter, like no one says why there's a two-headed shark, not even a hint, doesn't matter why. It's there, it's eating people. And the explanations that we are given for certain things are not explanations at all. But anyways, we start on a boat, which appears to be like a party. It's like a frat party on a boat, which is nice. You know, you got the eye candy that Mena promised me when he offered this movie to me. And they're all chilling, and I'm like, okay, yeah, these people are having a party on a boat. This is cool. And then this what's his name? Charlie O'Connell, who you may recognize from I don't know, what was he? He was in a Scream movie, wasn't he? Like a long time ago, one of them.
When I hear that name, like I imagine someone's face, and I'm thinking that's him, but I'm probably wrong.
He was in Dude, Where's My Car? He was in Cruel Intentions. He was in The New Guy. He's a familiar face. He's one of those like he's snap familiar. Like you snap your fingers, like I know him. So he's apparently a teacher. And these people are not on a party boat. They are in a college class. And he starts teaching them how to use a sextant. Which if you're not, it's like one of those not medieval, but like old timey navigational nautical things.
Yeah, I think they had it in the Middle Ages.
Okay, sure. Doesn't matter because it never comes up again. There's no reason why they have to be on a class other than to get them on a boat in the sea. So there's your first your expectations are subverted immediately because you think they're on a party and they're in a college class. Meanwhile, they're throwing around beach balls, and like there's one guy that you can tell he's supposed to be the douchey gym guy because he brought a dumbbell with him on the boat and his protein shake, which he conveniently has an alarm on his cell phone. That'll be important later, by the way. He has an alarm on his cell phone to tell him when to take his protein shake. And his collar is popped, so you know he's supposed to be the douchey guy. And then you have the guy who's supposed to be the nerd who knows everything. And then you have Brooke Hogan, who's the daughter of Hulk Hogan, who is there to be eye candy. You have Carmen Electra, you're not quite sure why she's there yet. And then these two, I think they're like Indonesian or something, or some sort of Spanish or Latino. You don't really know what language they're speaking. I'm not going to hate on the language. It sounds like they're actually speaking a different language, like a real language. But anyways, those are the main players, and then you have some like ditzy girls, and that's it pretty much. So yeah, they out of nowhere they hit a shark. I think it's not the two-headed shark, but they hit a shark with the boat, and then the boat breaks down. So they're stranded in the ocean, and the one of the ladies who's on the boat, she's like, okay, I have to go fix the boat. So she scuba dives, or she's about to go fix the boat, and then Carmen Electra talks to her, and she's like, "Oh my God, are you sure? Like, be careful down there." And then after that, she does not care that her friend has gone to fix the boat. She goes and models. Like, there's like a rock music playing, and she just goes on. She just strips down and goes to the front of the boat, and just like she's literally modeling for no one. There's no one there, and it's literally just for you, the viewer, to enjoy Carmen Electra. You still don't know why she's there, by the way. And then the the students all decide. The students and the teacher, they all decide to go to an island for some reason. There's no reason actually. They decide to go to a nearby island, and they're like, oh, maybe we'll find some scrap metal or something to help with the repairs of the boat. I don't know. Makes sense, I guess. So they get into smaller boats, they go to the island, and then one thing that I remember vividly is that one of the girls is like, look, she's pointing at the island, she's, look, civilization. And then the camera cuts to like 10 sticks that are just propped up against each other in like a teepee shape. But anyways, they get to this island, and then for the next hour or so, it's just them walking in the forest. So it's a two-headed shark attack movie where the entire cast is walking in the forest for a good hour. So I'm going to pause here. I think this is where you get into the really good stuff of like there's some of the students that just randomly decide to have a threesome on the beach. That's fun, and they get eaten. Doesn't really matter about them.
Wait a minute. Wait. How do they get eaten? Like when they're on
at a time.
land?
One girl per mouth.
Yeah. So they're like, these students have apparently never met each other before, but the guy just convinces these two girls like, hey, let's go skinny dipping and have a threesome on the beach. So they're all standing in knee-deep water where somehow a giant two-headed shark comes and eats them from the legs up. Yeah.
Oh.
I have a question.
That was fun. Yeah, go ahead.
Were the boat scenes actually on the water, or were they like filmed in a parking lot on top of somebody's boat?
No, they're actually, I'll give them credit. The boat is actually in the water in a lake somewhere. I don't know.
That's better than I thought.
Yeah, no, they have really cool drone shots of the boat on the water. But that's it. Everything with the shark, and I noticed this actually, this is an important point. Everything where you actually see the shark is either it's CGI it's not only CGI, but you can't see anything because I guess I don't know if they didn't have the money or the time to actually render a CGI shark. So you don't really see the shark or see what's happening when the shark is supposed to be on screen while it's on screen. But anyways, so those three get eaten. The rest of the students are walking in the forest, and it's clear that they have no idea what they're supposed to be doing. Like, not even just as characters in the movie. There's no direction given to them. They're walking in like it's supposed to be some abandoned fishing village, and there's like props there. So I'm just watching them like, oh, look at, like, they're picking things up, and like they have no idea what to do. And then they all decide to split up for some reason. And then one girl goes into a shed. She finds a gun for no reason, and there's absolutely no reaction on her face. It's supposed to be like dramatic, like, oh my God, a gun. But she's just like, okay. And she puts it in her bag. That'll be important later too. Remember the gun. And then what else happens? Oh, okay. So there's a the captain who's gone into the water to fix the boat, she gets eaten by the shark, and no one really cares or asks about her. Even Carmen Electra, who was like a minute ago like, oh, don't do it, be careful, and then she started modeling, she clearly doesn't care. And then back on the island, for some reason I might have seen this wrong, but I think the shark started hitting the island from below and like started causing earthquakes on the island.
This is real. This happened. That was a very real part of it.
I thought I like hallucinated that, but basically the shark is actually shaking the island from the ocean. And it's funny because like when they're supposed to be shaky cam, so the shark hits the island, you see the camera completely still, and everyone is like, whoa, like trying to act like there's an earthquake, but there's like nothing is moving. So and this is trying to lead to get
they couldn't even shake the camera.
Apparently
around
not. They ran out of time in the 30 days to shake the camera. It's like, so this is like slowly escalating, I guess. And And then Brooke Hogan, meanwhile, she goes off on her own, and then she's with some other random girl who you don't even know her name. And then she's like, they become friends for some reason. Brooke opens up to her about like, I have some childhood trauma about the water. I don't remember what it was about. I don't care. But it's important to the story, apparently. And then they find some boats on the island, some motorboats. They have a boat race. The boats, they make it very clear that these boats run on gas because they had to find like a gas barrels. So they fill up the boats, they go for a boat race, and then one guy falls out of the boat. And then he gets eaten by the shark, which is like fine. He gets eaten by the shark, and then the shark, they're trying to explain this, like the students are watching this happen from the shore, and then they say like, oh, they're narrating for us like, oh, they're now the shark's chasing the bigger boat because it's giving off I don't know, like a electromagnetic pulse. Like the nerd is saying this. He's saying, oh, the boat is giving it a bigger electromagnetic field, so it's chasing the boat. And then
God, sounds like Star Trek and Technobabble. It's making stuff up.
They are. I think they were writing it as they were acting. Like these people, like the actors were writing the story as the scene was going. So the douchey guy, he's on the bigger boat, and he jumps off the boat because I guess he realizes that the shark is chasing the boat, but the shark doesn't eat him. It continues chasing after the boat. It eats the boat, and the people die. And then they go back to the island, I think. And then, yeah, they go back to the island. More earthquakes, more walking around. And then they try to figure out what to do, I guess. And then they're like freaking out because the island is getting worse, like the earthquakes are getting worse. And there's one scene where they're all standing in a circle, like each student. They're standing in a circle, and the camera is just going around and like taking turns, like, okay, you say your line. You say your line, and the line is like, what do we do now? I don't know. Oh my God, the island shaking, and it's just that for another like 10 minutes. So that was fun. And then the boat, like the main boat that they came on, like that gets destroyed by the shark, I think, or it gets damaged by the shark. And I'm sorry, I'm getting tired just explaining this, but basically, the shark manages to destroy the island finally, somehow, and then the people are running again, and you finally, I think it's at this point that you finally realize that Carmen Electra was there because she's a doctor. And this is, mind you, this is like 3/4 of the way through the movie, so that was the whole reason she was there. She's running with the teacher, and then they reach the edge of the water, and because like the island's sinking, I guess. They reach the beach, and then there's a tidal wave, I think, coming for them. And then they kiss for some reason, and then they die. There's no, if you're keeping up with me, between Carmen Electra and the teacher, there is no relationship between the two of them, but they kiss right before they die. And then the shark attacks them because the island's flooded now, but it's really just like the cast standing in like out on the beach. Clearly, it's clear that the camera is set up on the sand and it's pointing out to the water, and they're just standing in the water. And then the shark attacks them again. 2 or 3 of the cast just disappear from the movie, like they're never shown again, and it doesn't show the shark eating them. And then they blow up the shark with like a gas barrel, and that takes out one of its heads. And then they send a boat as a decoy for the shark to chase after, and then the shark bites it, and then that boat explodes, even though the shark has eaten like 3 boats before this. But that one blows it up, and then the movie ends.
Wait, so who lived? Who survived?
Brooke Hogan and the nerdy guy, I think, are the
only
nerdy
2. Guy survived.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, there's like 3 or 4 of the students that were still in the movie at this point, and they just like, I guess they had other things to do, and they just never appear in the movie again. Yeah. How long? That must have been an incredibly long time. I'm sorry, everyone, but I needed you to feel my pain.
We felt it.
I want to go back to the part where the shark is bumping into the island, because I'm not getting past that part. Is they like, do they have the island that looks like an iceberg where it's just a piece of land floating in the water where it's bumping into the bottom, or?
I think that's an apt description of what I thought I saw. It's like just land, like it's underwater, and then there's like land there. I guess it's like, I don't know, like, you know, those when you're in a cave and there's like those sharp things hanging from the ceiling. It looks like that, but underwater.
Stalagmites or stalactites.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Never.
Oh, I said the gun was important. Sorry, I just remembered. I said the gun that the girl found was important.
Couldn't have been that important. Jeez.
Well, spoiler alert, it's not. She shoots at the shark for a second and then she dies. That was the whole point of the gun. But they focused on it.
What about the alarm on the guy's phone?
Oh, the alarm on the guy's phone during the boat race, or like when I think he like after the boat race, he goes into the water somehow, and then I guess like the shark doesn't know he's there yet, and then his phone goes off because it's time to take his protein, and then it alerts the shark to his presence, and then it eats it.
Bring! Here I am. Eat me.
Yeah.
So how long was? Oh, sorry.
I will say one good thing about the movie. Near the end, they actually made it. It looks like they actually made a shark head, or like a double shark head, like a practical one, like
a
not
practical effect.
Yeah, not a CGI one, which like was cool. They ate a couple people with it. I don't know. It's like rubber or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It actually looks decent. They could have done that instead of. I guess they were making it during the first half of the movie, and it was finally ready when they were filming the second half, because that's the only time it appears.
That's a good theory, right? It goes with the 30-day time limit thing. Yeah.
Or maybe they built it ahead of time and they realized that it didn't move or like didn't fit most of the scenes that they were doing, so they just kind of fit it in at the end.
I guess I don't, because the first time you see it is Brooke Hogan is supposed to be like sacrificing herself, so she swims right up to it where everyone else has been eaten by doing that. She swims up to it, and then she's like in between the two shark heads, and she's like fighting it, and they're just kind of like waving around.
Question for you, actually, Paulo. Were you disappointed at the amount of time that had to pass before two people separately got eaten by the two-headed shark? I personally was a little bit impatient. I was hoping that would happen much sooner, but
you know, I mean, I think at least it was around 30 minutes in where my face was just in my hands, so I don't even remember.
Paula, when did that movie come out?
This was in 2012.
Okay, I'm betting this might be the oldest one, possibly out of the movies
all of ours.
It might have been. It is a pretty old movie, actually.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, I mean, the boob to quality ratio was not that great, but I mean, I appreciate the intention.
Well, wait till you get to the rest of them. I think you at least had boob. The boob to quality ratio in the rest of them is 0. So
actually, yeah, that's true.
So I was actually kind of surprised by that, because when we did the first episode of the Asylum, I actually ended up watching like 6 different Asylum movies. I don't know why, I was bored at that time. And all of them were very PG. Like, that was one thing I noticed, is like they never wanted to put any boobs or any violence in it, because I assume they wanted it to be as available to all viewers as possible. But then you are saying yours had nudity, and actually mine had nudity as well. And I guess they dabble in that in certain movies.
I guess if they can convince one of their actors to do it. They got one of the girls to do. No, sorry, 2.
It was the threesome scene.
It was a threesome scene.
I remember it. Before the 2 girls got eaten.
He's like, it's the thing I remember.
It's the only part of the movie that I thought was worth watching, quite frankly.
It probably was.
But yeah.
Do you give a rating system at the end? How do we like finish it off.
I'm not even going to bother rating it. It's bad. The rating is bad out of 10.
Is it in the worst 5 movies you've ever seen?
Yeah, it's worst 2. It's in the top 2 of the worst movies I've ever seen. Going back to what Carson said, it's not even funny to watch. It's not so bad it's funny. It's
like
just
The Room.
It's just boring. Going back to a good hour of the movie is them walking around in a forest, where it's a shark attack movie.
I've noticed that Asylum movies they tend to kill time with certain things like that.
Yeah, and I mean it probably has to do with their budget as well. They can't. I don't know if they can't afford the CGI to show a full-on shark attack, to animate a shark attack, stuff like that. I get it, but then
I was gonna bring that up with mine. It's the lack of budget.
Well, maybe
this is where my patience ends, though. With all the props that we gave them at the beginning about hey, they want to make movies and they have a low budget and they have a really short time frame, and they're doing it, but half of the movie is nothing. It's literally nothing. So
it's just things happening.
Yeah.
Oh, there's not even things happening.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to use that opportunity to segue into our next movie. Unless you have any final comments, Paulo.
No, I don't. I guess I'll tee up Mena's movie. The one that I offered Mena. I suggested Jurassic Domination, not to be confused with Jurassic World Dominion, because I asked a very important question to Mena at the beginning of this. I said, do you want some CGI nonsense or something a little different? And he said CGI nonsense. So I thought this would fit the bill. I know absolutely nothing else about it except what's his name? Eric Roberts, who is another one of those I think I know that guy. I think he was in a music video with Justin Timberlake one time.
He was bad guy in a lot of late 90s movies.
Yes. Oh, he's bad. He's the bad guy in Expendables.
Also in The Dark Knight, he's
Eric Roberts
one of the mafia
Italian
guys.
Yes.
Wait, I can't believe he's in it. He's in mine. He's in one of mine. I was gonna mention him.
So he's probably one of their friends, one of those recurring guys.
Yeah,
but
falling on tough times, maybe.
He needed a bookshelf.
Yeah, he can't afford his bookshelves.
But I mean there was dinosaurs. It looked like there might be some action. It's one of the newer ones. I think it was 2022 that it came out. So I thought at least there might be some enjoyment. No boobs, but enjoyment.
Yeah. Okay. No. Thanks for the introduction, Paulo. I will preface this by saying I was hoping to see the CGI just to really see, knowing that it's low budget, how bad it would be. It did meet my expectations of being that bad. So it is what it is. I'm not going to go into that much detail. I really would like to focus on some of the pain parts of it as I go along with the plot. So the way the movie starts is basically, very cliche, 2 soldiers driving a truck, some, monster, something growling in the back. It's called Jurassic Domination, so it's a bloody dinosaur. But anyways, they don't show it yet, but it is. Anyways, a minute in, for some reason, which is still, I watched it over to try and understand if I missed something, but the dinosaur just breaks out of the cage somehow, tears through basically the 3 soldiers that were there's one guarding the cage and the 2 people in the front seat, and then the dinosaur escapes, although they don't show it's a dinosaur yet. Okay? That's the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's supposed to, hype you up, make it intense, there's something building. It doesn't really build that much, but we'll get to it. It clips over to a scene of the army base where you find out that they're breeding dinosaurs. And they're Allosaurus. The one thing I will say, kudos to this movie for actually teaching me what an Allosaurus was. I thought they made it up. Maybe it's just me. I'm not very dinosaur.
It's a real dinosaur.
Yeah, no. So I learned something. I will give kudos to Asylum Studios for teaching me about Allosaurus. So, anyways, you find out that they're breeding dinosaurs. Meanwhile, the one dinosaur escaped, is wrecking its way through, suburban, neighborhoods in the U.S., like eating people up. The military's like, we gotta get a handle on this. It's starting to kill people. Like, let's lock it down and basically like contain the situation. The colonel, or like, the head colonel in charge is actually Eric Roberts, who basically is in one room for the entire movie, and he has four phone calls. He's like, get it done. Like that's like that.
It mirrors real life. Come on.
It's
Get it done.
Basically, which is kind of funny. Anyways, the dinosaur you find out is trying to get back to the mom that's being, bred because of, pheromones. You find out that these are actually super smart dinosaurs that are bred in South America somewhere for military purposes, and the U.S. military captured them with the goal of saving soldiers' lives, because why would you use soldiers when you can just launch this fucking dinosaur instead? So, I mean...
Fuck yeah, man.
Kind of checks out.
Smart.
Yeah. I mean, not really.
Sounds
but like,
smart anyway.
Yeah, except for the fact that it literally eats its way through like half a city.
Yeah, except it eats you too.
Yeah. So,
not just the bad guys.
Yeah. So what happens is they bring in the special ops team, 3 guys that are trying to basically contain it. Eric Roberts, on several calls, is very strict. Do not kill the dinosaur. We want it alive, okay? And they're very, very strict. As the movie progresses, more and more people in the military base get fucked up and eaten, okay? So, but Eric Roberts, true to his word, is like, this is a priority. We got to keep a handle on this. Eventually, the base is in disarray. There's the 3 special ops guys. All of a sudden, one of them is like, I'm actually an explosives expert. Like, fuck, that could have been useful.
He just remembered, yeah.
Could have been useful, like, an hour ago through the movie. So what they do is they plant a claymore, and they try and lure the Allosaurus towards them. The dinosaur is actually somehow smart, sees the claymore.
It's South American.
Yeah, I guess.
That's smart.
Picks a trash can. The claymore blows up. And the dumbass explosives officer, who you think like would know how explosives work, dies from his own claymore. Which
was he standing in the blast radius?
He was like around the corner, but like the dinosaur kicked the trash can at the claymore, and it was like, yeah.
Wait, did he kick the trash can hit the claymore, and then the claymore flew to the guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is. Dude, take with that what you will. I mean, I will say, as crazy as that sounds, kind of found it a little bit entertaining. Hence the CGI nonsense that I was saying in the beginning. Like, this is the sort of shit I was looking for. So, right on par. Anyways, eventually what happens is, they're down a man. They're like, okay, we can't kill this thing. They're all freaking out, including the special ops soldiers. So what do? As it so happens, one of the scientists, who's a hot blonde lady, is like, go in the lab. I have these guns that you can shoot them with. And they're like it sends out like an electromagnetic pulse to just stun them. Okay?
I feel like
been useful.
Asylum movies, like when they don't know what to do, electromagnetic pulse, electromagnetic pulse on the shark.
Yeah. It's interesting that, it
works every time.
Yeah, the funny thing is they try and corner it. They shoot the gun. You're only allowed one, like it only shoots one shot. After that, like you have to like recharge it. So like they're fucked. And then they both shoot it. Nothing happens. And then they're just like, okay, what do? They run away. Another man gets eaten. So now they're really like, they're running on fumes here. The doctor's like, all right, go back to the lab. I have some quartz. Put the quartz in the gun, and it'll let you shoot more than one shot at a time. But they only had one gun that could do this, okay? Anyways, they have now these supercharged guns. Meanwhile, the Allosaurus has already breached the gate, so to speak. freed its mom, and there were eggs there, and some of the eggs hatched. So
Wait, freed its mom?
Yeah.
You just said that really quick.
He freed its mom.
So there's a mama Allosaurus?
There's the mom that was there to breed.
Oh, so the one that was rampaging.
The rampaging
freed its
one.
mother.
Exactly.
Which had already laid some eggs.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So, the whole family's free now, okay? And now they have this gun that is like ideally the perfect weapon. The gun actually ends up working. They blow one of them, their heads off, okay? So they're like, okay, this shit works. They're trying to run around. Now it's basically just like the hot doctor lady, one of the other, because there's a hot doctor lady. Yeah, I appreciate that. Then there's, yeah, because why not? Then there's this other female officer who's kind of being the in charge of the special ops and the last special ops guy. They're trying to go around and contain the situation. They told Eric Roberts, one of the dinosaurs is down. We killed him. What are we gonna do? And he's like, make sure you keep him alive. At the end of the day, they're like, fuck it. We're gonna just try and survive. They go around, end up shooting the little dinosaurs that hatch. They're like little munchkin T-Rexes. They're kind of cool, actually. Like, I mean, for a 30-day movie, it's not bad. So they shoot a few of the babies. Then there's the mom and one of the other big ones that's left. And they're like, all right, what do we do? And they call Eric Roberts, say, the base is compromised. We're completely fucked. What do you do now? He's like, all right, I'm sending in an airstrike. You're all going to die. And then they're like, dear God,
thanks,
what do we
Eric.
do? Yeah. Yeah. So they're like, okay, dear God, what do we do? It's like, we have to contain this before the airstrike comes. Airstrike is on the way. They have the stun guns, which now they found a way to dial it down so it's not blowing their heads off. Because why not at the last minute figure this out?
Wait, hold on. So they've switched now. Like the soldiers who decided they're just going to kill the dinosaurs, they're saying, okay, we're not going to kill them, but also Eric Roberts and the higher-ups who didn't want to kill the dinosaurs are sending an airstrike to kill the dinosaurs.
To kill them.
Yeah, because he's like, fuck it. They don't want it to be out in the public, and they want to contain the situation. They don't want there to be
But the soldiers now want to stun it. They don't want to kill it.
So that they don't bomb the base and they can survive. The option is they have an airstrike that blows up the whole base with them in it, or they find a way to stun it, then they can tell Eric Roberts to stop the airstrike and they'll be fine.
Okay.
This is the last.
And Eric Roberts is thinking to himself, I told you so. You should have freaking stunned it at the start.
Well, I mean, they were all dying, so I kind of get it. I would have done the same thing personally. Anyway, so yeah, but I get. So they're trying to find a way to stun the last two dinosaurs. They managed to do it. They call Eric Roberts the last 2 minutes of the movie. They're like, we stun them, call it off. There's some issues with the communications between the fighter jet that's gonna bomb them. It's staticky. It's stop. Airstrike. It's one of those.
That's really
situations. Good. It's he's trying to tell them to call off the airstrike, but they're just okay, the airstrike's still on. So they're going. They're
trigger
them.
Happy.
Yeah. Something happens. 10 seconds left. Eric Roberts is yelling on the phone in the same room that he's been in the whole movie, and they hear, "Oh, we'll call it off." They call it off. Movie's over. That's
Yay!
it.
Yay!
So, I will say this. Obviously, the plot is shit and makes no sense. And the fact that they just have these miraculous technological advances at very plot pertinent points. Not the greatest, but there was actually a little bit of action, I will say, sprinkled throughout the movie that I kind of liked. The dialogue was horrible. We'll say that.
Listening to any,
but yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Listening to the soldiers speak is actually painful. They basically are just yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm an expert, ma'am. We got this. It's that for the whole time. I'm like, oh God, please stop. Stop talking.
But hey,
as I rub my temples.
Mena, about the action you mentioned, So I'm just curious, was it fairly action filled, or was there like a lot of moments where there was just people walking and just time killing, like what Paulo had mentioned?
Definitely a lot of time killing for sure.
Yeah, okay.
Like
just checking.
It would be spaced, like the action is spaced in between. I think the one thing that maybe like a little bit more interested is like they kind of actually introduce the characters a little bit and then they die. So it's like, okay, I could get into this, like Game of Thrones-y. Like, you know how like, like you start to like understand a character like a little bit. I mean, Asylum.
Oh, they got backstories in your movie?
No, not really. Like,
oh, okay.
But like they have a little bit more screen time, and you
like 2 minutes. Like 2 minutes of bonding with somebody, and just so that you can like know who they are, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then they die, which is not great. But I'm trying to salvage something from this. It like, yeah. All in all, I mean, I'll say because I did watch Two-Headed Shark Attack, I actually thought this was better, minus boobs and Shark Attack, which if you took the boobs from Two-Headed Shark Attack, put it in this movie, maybe it would have been the best out of all four that we're going to talk about today. But yeah.
You say that the plot doesn't make sense, but to be honest, that sounds like probably the most coherent plot of an Asylum movie that I've heard so far.
Yep, maybe like it changed. Like I guess it's the sudden changing of like things, like the gun doesn't work, the gun works, the gun can now shoot multiple bullets, the gun can now stun. Like I think that's what I was like, what the fuck. But you're right. There is like a bit of a trajectory. You're right, Carson.
I think you can find the point of the movie where they're like, oh, okay, we need something to happen now. We're running out of time. We need to wrap up the movie. So the gun works now. Okay, good. That's it.
Yeah.
One question I do have for you though, because you said this was 2022, and one of the biggest differences I noticed between the more recent Asylum movies versus some of the ones I watched from like mid 2000s is their ability to hide an action scene off screen in sound effects. So if they know they don't have good CGI and they can't have a dinosaur killing someone, did they ever have like, oh no, we hear that happening off screen, but we don't actually see it? Did they have any of that in yours?
Oh, tons of that. So the situation I said where the Allosaurus kicks the trash can that then hits the claymore, the guy who, like, basically what happens is you see CGI Allosaurus kicking the trash can, you see the claymore like spinning in the air, and then you see the guy's like lying on the ground bloody. Like you don't. So if that's I think that's what you're talking about. But yeah, that is it. But it's pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie. Like actually, as bad as it was, that was probably an example of like bad but entertaining bad. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of it that's just bad and boring, but that was like actually like, oh god, like.
So that was one of the few good, right, memorable, fun parts.
Yeah, like digestible.
Yeah.
So thanks, Paulo, for.
Hey, you're welcome. I almost gave you. I can't even remember what it was. It was some dragon movie, but I think it was one of the older ones as well, and that wouldn't have been as good, for sure. Sorry, I was just gonna say one other thing I noticed, because you mentioned Eric Roberts, like, so anytime there's a familiar face in one of these movies, they're usually not doing a whole lot. Like Eric Roberts is in the control room, just on the phone for the movie. Carmen Electra, like near the second half of my movie, she has like no lines. She's just standing and like watching everyone talk until she gets killed by the tsunami. I'm curious to see if I don't even know if there's any recognizable faces in your movies, Dan and Carson, but
there is in mine, which I'll get into. I have a little bit different take, but that's a very classic like B-movie cameo thing where it's like, okay, you have this famous person for an afternoon, you get Eric Roberts and he says 10 lines on the phone, and that's it. Now he's in your movie.
On the phone. Actually,
that's great.
Mena, I was going to ask you about Eric Roberts as well. did he have any? Do you give any like speeches?
No.
Like say at the beginning of the okay, because in mine he gives like a little intro speech, and this is I'll get into it obviously in a minute, but he gives like an intro speech, and then he gives like at the closing of the movie, at the end of the movie, he gives like a sort of an epilogue speech. And okay, interesting. So it sounds like
None of
he
that.
did even less than yours.
Yeah, it was like short phone calls. I would say the scenes were like probably like 30 seconds each, except for that last one at the climax where he's trying to wave off the bomb. Then it like kind of cuts back and forth from like him to the pilot that's supposed to do the bombing run. Yeah, but no speeches at all.
Maybe that's a good segue to get into Dan's movie then. I gave you 2, Dan. Which one did you end up? Are you actually doing here? Are you doing Top Gunner or Atlantic Rim 2?
Oh, I have to pick one. Okay, I'll pick one then.
Do you want to do both?
No, that's actually a good point. Just for the sake of everyone's sanity, I'll just talk about one of them. Although I might mention just during the course of our discussions about Asylum movies in general, I might watch or I might mention the other one. So maybe I'll just briefly mention the 2 that I. Well, actually, how about you mentioned the 2, and I'll get into the one that I watched.
Which one am I introing then?
Well, intro both of them. So
okay.
Intro Top Gunner. I'll talk about Atlantic Rim too, but.
So we were picking movies for each other, and I wanted to pick Top Gunner for you, which is obviously a mockbuster of Top Gun, because Top Gun is one of your favorite movies, and I thought it would just be fun for you to watch something that was a terrible, terrible ripoff of it. I think you had mentioned to me that it was boring, as most Asylum movies are. So I gave you the opportunity to do a second movie, which was Atlantic Rim 2, because in our first episode of Asylum Movies, we watched Atlantic Rim 1, which was actually probably the worst movie I've ever seen in my life. Not an exaggeration. It was by far like the poorest made and most boring thing I've ever seen. And so I wanted to give you the joy of watching another one of those. And I was also genuinely curious to know how they do a sequel. So if that is the one you're curious about, I am curious to know if it actually is a sequel in any way.
Yeah. So I'm going to spend most of this just talking about the second one, about Atlantic Rim 2. But yeah, just wanted to mention, so the other week, I watched Top Gunner first, the other week. And yeah, it was it was really bad. But the interesting thing, I'll just say the interesting thing is that at least there was less of the whole standing, like characters that awkwardly stand around where there's like time wastage. There's still that, but it seems like they fill a lot of that with the terrible CGI action scenes. Like it'll show them the dog fighting, I thought to myself when I started, I was like, okay, how much of this is going to be stock footage of jet fighters like flying around versus CGI? And it was all CGI. So it was all this terrible CGI dogfights. And then without getting too much into it, it was just really awkward because it transitioned from and there's also a trio. So I think the trio of like pilots or commandos or whatever, I think they like their trios, because there was like a trio of pilots, and of course one of them dies at the beginning. They're fighting the Russians, and one of them is like a wedge. I thought a wedge for you guys, because he totally does they're like oh no, he gets hit, and then the one guy goes, get out of there, you're not doing any more good back there. And I thought
Wedge Antilles.
Sorry, Mena, this is kind of an inside thing, and I could have sworn I heard almost like a whisper, like a sorry. No, but anyway, he ends up getting killed, but so there's like a trio, and then the other two end up fighting with the rest of the soldiers like on the ground. So they kind of like only do the dog fighting for the first part of the movie, and then it's like a fighting off the enemies attacking the base part later. But anyway, yes, bad, and I'm glad Carson recommended a second one, because it was just it was. I think, Carson, you put it this way to me: it was just competently, it was just competent enough that it was more boring rather than memorably bad. So anyway, so then Carson recommended, as he said, Atlantic Rim 2, which is actually called the technical name is Atlantic Rim Resurrection. And so this came out in 2018. And at the very start, so getting into the plot, very start of it, it's like, you got the newscaster voice talking, and you got some like footage being shown of like monsters and attacking and stuff, which would have been from the first one. But they're like, it's been 3 years since the events of the monsters attacking and da 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 da. And you see like all these military forces kind of looking like they're on they're patrolling, or the guy has his like binoculars and he's looking around and stuff, and you see like a naval fleet and stuff, and so like everyone's on alert for this to happen, to prevent this from happening again. And then it jumps to a ship. I think I just in my notes here, it was the USS Virginia, patrolling 20 miles off the Atlantic coast. And you got a couple like Navy guys, like a couple sailors being like, nothing's been detected with our sonar. What is this? It's a waste of time, of course. And then all of a sudden, boom! The one guy's like, "Oh, I'm getting a contact. What's this?" And then this monster, this like giant monster, busts out of the water, smashes a battleship in two, and it's like with the CGI, right, where it shows it like way in the distance, right? So the ship is like kind of just this small little like you're playing Battleship, like a small little like a model kind of that's that far away, and you just kind of see the monster like really poorly CGI smash it in half. And then the opening credits, and so then it explains that now we're off the coast, or we're near Miami, and Navy ships, they open fire with their guns to little effect. And then you see the monster. The monster gets to shore and starts terrorizing things, and it looks like the bugs from Starship Troopers. Really reminds me of that look, if you can picture that, and also reminds me of the bug, also called the bug from Men in Black 1, the villain.
Oh, the cockroach one, like the
so it looks like a cock. It's really funny because and I suspect that because of the rushed nature of making these films, that because the characters often call them like the spiders, but they're not spiders. They have 6 legs, right? They don't even look like spiders. So I have a funny feeling that like they'd written that before they'd done the CGI, so they didn't even know what they looked like when they were like filming the movie. So but yes, and then it cuts to like these three pilots, because this is a spoof on, of course, Pacific Rim. So it cuts to these 3 like giant robot pilots in a bar talking about how oh no, this new crisis, and are they afraid? And of course the one's all badass, like, no, I'm not afraid, F that, fuck that, bring it on. And then but then the squad leader, I actually liked him the best out of all the characters. He was like his acting actually wasn't as bad. It was actually not bad at all. How he's like, yeah, I'm afraid. He's like, are you afraid? And then he's like, yeah, I'm afraid. And then the da 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 da. And it was actually a surprising like heart-to-heart moment that I wasn't expecting from an Asylum film. So anyway, then it jumps to this like military science, this science guy. In my notes, I wrote technical genius guy, who is apparently the guy. What was that?
The ghost science guy.
Yeah, right. So science guy, that's what we'll call him. He's like the main character basically, and so he's the guy who, kind of designed or redesigned anyway the giant robots. So he's like the expert on them. So anyway, then the military brings him in, and then they go on about how there's like the neural interface, right, that he designed, the neural interface between the pilots and the robots, right? How there's like a problem with it, and how there's all this lag. Like, so they talked about how he's like, oh, you used the wrong OS. Like, he yells at the military for using the wrong OS. He said
they're using Windows XP for their.
Because he's like, what are you doing? This should be on Python. And I'm thinking to myself, but Python isn't an OS.
Wait, he actually said that?
Yeah, he actually said Python, and I thought to myself, oh, that's hilarious. But anyway, I forgot what OS he said. Like, he said that they did, and they did it wrong. It was something made up by the sounds of it. But anyway, and then that was really kind of funny. So like, oh no, the pilots are going to experience crazy lag when they're piloting this thing. And so anyway, so then they're like, okay, then they bring in the three pilots that were introduced in the, another scene earlier that I mentioned. So then they show up, and then then the pilots are like, because the scientist guy tries to convince them, like, this is a death sentence, you can't go in there, the lag will kill you. And they're like we have to, the world's at stake and it's what we train for, and da 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 da. So then they go, and then you see some of the terrible CGI of the robots flying flying in the sky and over the city and stuff. Let's see. Yeah, so then they fly over to the alien, but then of course, or the monster, but of course the lag time is causing problems. The pilots are like going, "Oh, this lag is horrible." And I feel like that might have been a clever way for the clever, quote unquote, way for the filmmakers to have accounted for the shoddy special effects. Because you know how the special effects are just like, really awkward, like, you'll see a giant robot kind of like awkwardly fly to the side and then like awkwardly lift its guns and shoot and stuff. And I wonder if that was a way for them to try to be like, explain like why it's so blocky and so shoddy.
I think you're giving them too much credit, Dan.
Maybe I am. Yeah, maybe I am. But I mean, yeah, ultimately the CGI was sluggish looking, as you'd imagine, with a low budget. So let's see. Then they shoot the giant, cockroach bug looking thing with rockets. It goes down, but then the general guy's like, move in, make sure it's dead. And so then they go in closer, and of course it gets up. It gets back up. And let's see. Then it takes out the main guy, the guy who I mentioned, the squad leader, the guy who I mentioned. I actually kind of liked his character. It kills him because it knocks down his robot. Then he kind of suffocates inside because the robot shuts down. He just dies.
He suffocates inside?
Yeah, something about like it crashed on the ground, and because it shut down, it's like, I don't know, it's like the air conditioner shut down too or something. He just dies because when this happens, the scientist guy and the other military people, like, they're like, oh, we gotta save him. So then they drive out and they drive to the robot and go in to try to save him, and then they find he's dead in his seat.
That's what you always want to see in your giant robot versus monster movie. When someone dies, it's because they suffocated.
Man, it was a little weird. But yeah, his name was Hammer too. I kind of liked his call sign. So he was Hammer. So Hammer's dead, and the other two pilots, Bugs and Badger, they managed to take out the monster. But then all of a sudden, the monster bursts open, like it just kind of like blows up, and a swarm of miniature versions, all just like a huge swarm, just come out, and they just like swarm over the city. And so they're like maybe the size of like a large dog. Just picture that. So like these like, cockroach looking creatures are running around. There's tons of them. And so then the cast is like, okay, what do we do now? And there's another science chick at the base, and of course her and the dude science guy, of course they kind of like originally start off like, with this like rivalry, right? They're like all like, sussing each other out. But then she says she's like the biological expert, and so she's the biological expert, and he's like the expert with the robots. And so then she's like, okay, it's time to implement phase 2, which is biological warfare. So she's like, and then and I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's really smart. So you're gonna like drop some contagion, and maybe you'll kill the aliens, but then you'll like kill all the people too. Like that sounds like a way better solution. Because she's like, oh, we have to do this because if we send in the military and they like fight the creatures, that'll cause way too much civilian casualties.
So let's just gas them.
yeah, let's just gas them or drop like fucking pathogens on them, viruses on them. Yeah, that's smart. So anyway, so then she says, but then she's like, okay, in order to do this, because the general's like says, okay, fine. So then in order to do this, they have to capture one because she needs to like autopsy it and figure out how to make her pathogen work on it. So then they end up, I'm kind of gonna skip this, it's just kind of silly. They they fight a few of the soldiers, and the doctor guy kills a few of them and whatever. So then they get one, and they take its corpse, and she cuts it up, and so then she does the autopsy and discovers that the creature is not a carbon-based life form, meaning it's an alien, right? And she also discovers that it has a gland which absorbs salt from the ocean, and it kind of secretes it through the body when needed, right? So it's almost like it needs it, just like how humans need salt too, right? But it's kind of like that, where it needs it to survive. And so and she suggests that if she can come up with a way to suppress the gland, this gland that's converting the salt or absorbing the salt, if she can do that instead of releasing an actual virus or a pathogen, that would be way better because it would spare the world from a potential environmental disaster. And that was actually the reason I'm mentioning this is because that actually really surprised me in terms of like I don't want to say cleverness, but in terms of like plot development.
There's some thought put in there.
Yeah, there's some thought, and it actually kind of makes sense. Like, I mean, overall, this movie was dumb, right? just like all of them. But that was actually kind of surprising. I was like, oh wow, that actually.
Mena, can you comment on the science?
I kind of like that actually. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
you release a virus into the like environment. That's like the start of every zombie movie, isn't it? Like,
right.
Something like that. But this is like it's thinking a step beyond that to be more like targeted.
Right. Let's target just this like non-carbon based species.
I
meant more
cool.
Like, does the science hold up?
Well, I mean, if it's an alien, you can make up whatever you want, but sure, like, I think it flies if it's not carbon based. If it's silicon based or something, then
well,
sure.
I guess maybe what doesn't fly is how quickly she's able to like whip up something, because it's literally like a matter of minutes. So
yeah,
because
they were running out of time in the 30-day clock.
Yeah, probably. So then basically it ends where they end up using the bots, right? Because the bots, as I said earlier, they went out and they fought. One of them was taken down, right? So then there's 2 left, and so they end up using the final 2 bots as a way to deploy this like modified pathogen. And the one pilot, he ends up getting injured, of course, and he sacrifices himself to distract the giant bug so that the other guy can shove. So the pathogen is like in his they outfitted it into the flamethrower of the of the bot. So it's like it's in a flamethrower in his right arm, and so all of a sudden, but of course it doesn't work. He's like, oh shit, the weapon system's malfunctioning. So then he ends up like doing like a fucking ramming speed run, punches it in the throat, jams his arm down its throat, and then releases the pathogen.
Oh my god, this is the Tomorrow War. I don't know if you've seen that movie. Amazon Prime.
It kind of does remind me of that.
It ends exactly the same way, except it's Chris Pratt's arm, and he's punching an alien to death. And in this one, it's a robot, but it's the same concept.
And his daughter is the scientist.
It's his arm with like with a pathogen on it, like that kills the alien, and he's like punching it to death. Wow, this was ahead of its time.
Yeah, 2018, man. Maybe Tomorrow War like rip this off.
Actually, I don't know. I think Tomorrow War came out before that. Actually,
no. That's
Tomorrow War was like
pandemic.
A year ago or two.
Yeah, wasn't that 2021?
Let's ask Google.
I watched that movie and I do not remember that ending.
2021.
It is 2021. You're absolutely right. Okay, my bad. Wow.
No, but like
Tomorrow
the whole
ripped off Asylum Studios?
I mean, even the whole part of instead of like gassing the whole city or like poisoning the whole city, but like capturing one of the aliens to find out, like to synthesize a poison against it. That's all into Tomorrow War. Those are like main plot points.
Interesting. Well, there you have it. There you have it, folks.
Does that mean this is really good or Tomorrow War is really bad?
Maybe they're both bad, but
it brings down both of them with this revelation. But I would say that okay, Carson, you said earlier that Atlantic Rim 1 was like one of the worst films you've ever seen. You know what? This was better than Top Gunner, I know I didn't get too much into Top Gunner, but that's because of time. But this I would honestly say was a bit better. That surprisingly, the characters were a little bit more likable, a little bit more interesting. Like I actually cared a tiny bit for the characters, whereas in Top Gunner, as well as the 2 Asylum movies I had to watch for the last episode we did on Asylum, at least with this one, I actually cared a little bit about the characters. So maybe, yeah, and yes, as I said, to answer your question, it is a direct sequel. So Carson, I think you should check it out, man. I think you should put this on your to watch list.
So you said it's a sequel because it follows the events of the first one, but I noticed that there's no returning characters from the first movie.
So you know what? I actually never did see the first one. I know you did with the last episode the last Asylum episode, but I actually watched 2 others. But because I thought the scientist guy would have been in the first one, but no, none of the characters.
I just checked the cast and there's no returning either, like not even a character name being the same with a different actor. It seemed like they were all different.
Really?
You know what's interesting?
3 years after Carson, they had, they've moved on their lives. They moved.
I actually don't even remember if all the characters died in the first movie, because that's a possibility as well.
I think didn't one of them sacrifice, like blow up a nuke?
Probably
to take out the monster.
The sacrifice plays is like a very common Asylum theme. Like that's their way of drawing emotion. It's like have a character sacrifice themselves. So that would not surprise me.
Well, I was just gonna say really quick, Carson. I think that this guy is probably one of their better. The guy who wrote Atlantic Rim, the 2, I guess I can't remember what the title is.
Yeah, just call it that.
He's probably one of the better Asylum writers, because he also wrote Jurassic Domination and Top Gunner.
Oh,
he's learning.
Yeah, they're turning the corner.
Sorry, that's all, Carson.
Any last comments on Atlantic Rim 2, Dan?
Yeah. You know what? Just to comment on the further evidence of it being, I guess, in 30 days and low budget. Yeah, it's interesting how they don't. You never see much of the monster or monsters actually destroying anything. You know what I mean? Like you just and also I thought it kind of funny in both of the movies I watched, where you never see there's hardly any extras. It's like you'd think there'd be police and military and like just all these people running around town and stuff, but like it's like a ghost town. It's like there's nobody there. And the same with the Top Gunner. It's like they're at this military base and there's like nobody there. So it's like we're training new pilots at this base, but there's only like the fucking 3 of them. So anyway, I think
that's a recurring theme, Dan, because like Mena's was
absolutely.
on a isolated military base. The what's it called? Two-headed shark attack. Even when they were on an island, it was an abandoned fishing village for some reason. So that's good to explain away the lack of
people.
Other actors. Yeah.
Actually, one question I did have for you is one of the things that I remembered from the first movie was the inside of the robot was just somebody in a room with black walls. Like there wasn't even like TV screens or anything else. Like what was the inside of the robots?
It was mostly like that, but they were standing. No, wait. They were in like a chair, and they were just manipulating these like joystick in each hand, like a stick. Was that kind of how?
I feel like that's a bit of an upgrade from the first movie.
Okay, yeah, because it is a room like when you say black walls, you mean like you literally don't see any wall, like you don't see anything. It's just like a black
pretty much, yeah,
room. Okay, because you actually like they're in an enclosure. So yeah, I would say that it is like, you know what I mean. Like it can kind of resemble like you're in some sort of cockpit. So yeah, I think I agree. I think it's a bit of an upgrade.
Yeah, Atlantic Rim was, I think, one of their earlier ripoffs, so it was like in the very early days. So I assumed that this one they had stepped it up at least a little bit. All right, so now we'll move on to our 4th and final movie, which was Dracula, the original living vampire. Dan, why did you choose this one for me?
Well, there wasn't really any horror, so I thought I would change it up.
Well, that does
That's
it. The plot I'll be able to speak through pretty quickly because there really isn't much of one, and also it's a ripoff of Bram Stoker's Dracula, which hopefully you guys have some familiarity with. I'm gonna call it a quote unquote modern remake of Bram Stoker's Dracula. I have to put the modern in quotation marks because I have no idea what time frame this movie is supposed to be set in. And this is something that I didn't realize until about halfway into the movie. Because, okay, so just to kind of describe the characters, you have most of the characters that you have in the traditional Bram Stoker's Dracula. You have Van Helsing, Jonathan Harker, Mena as like the love interest. Except the twist is that Van Helsing is Amelia Van Helsing. And she is the one who's in love with Mena because they're a lesbian couple. And Van Helsing is like a police investigator, very much like a Sherlock Holmes type. And so those two things, a woman in a police role and a lesbian, like an open lesbian relationship, would tell you this is not like the 1600s or the 1700s because that would not fly back then, or even like the early 1900s. So I just kind of assumed as the movie started that this was, modern day retelling of Bram Stoker's Dracula. But I noticed about halfway through the movie that there was not a single piece of electronic technology in the movie. Like, there's everything that they, like the language that they use and the clothes that they wear, you could interpret it as being either today or 70 years ago. Because, like, they have newspapers, and, like, not a lot of people read newspapers these days, but newspapers do technically still exist. They refer to people in a company as, like, the business partners. And it's like, okay, business partners existed in businesses in the 1800s. But yeah, just at a certain point, I realized, like, oh, no one's taken out a phone. There's no computers. There's no, like, everyone's reading books. But it doesn't, like, it's kind of hard to say because the whole thing just takes place in rooms, and it's like you can't really get a sense of, like, what the world is around. So you have, like, the lesbian relationship and the female cop, but everyone's kind of dressed as if it's like a Sherlock Holmes remake, so like 1850s. But the gun that the cop uses, Van Helsing, is like a World War II era Luger, like a German pistol. And so I'm like, halfway through this movie, I'm like, what decade does this take place in? What century does this take place in? I have no idea. So I thought that was fun, but not that it really impacts the movie much. But yeah, it was like, everyone's dressed like the 1800s. They have guns from the mid 1950s, and the people seem like they're from modern day.
They're just working with the props that they got. They were like, here, you take these clothes that I found in this room. Take the one gun that I could find in this room. Do what you can with it.
Yeah. So aside from that, it follows the pretty similar, like, Bram Stoker. Oh, I guess it doesn't follow it exactly. The plot is Amelia Van Helsing is a detective for the police force. There's a string of murders where these, and always naked women lying on a bed. There's a lot of nudity in these movies, with like 2 holes in their neck and no blood in their body. And it's like, what's happening here? Like, how could you possibly drain the blood from something like that? And Jonathan Harker, who is like the Keanu Reeves character from the original Bram Stoker movie, he's like some superstitious chemist who does the science, but also believes in like all these like Nostradamus and like books like that. So he's like, it's got to be vampires, and everyone's like, no, you're crazy. It's not vampires. That's just a legend type thing. But yeah, so it kind of goes back and forth between Amelia Van Helsing, who's the lead detective, and Jonathan Harker, who's like her friend slash chemist slash superstitious person, trying to figure out what's going on. The best character in this movie is Michael Ironside. So Michael Ironside recently passed away. This was one of the last movies that he did. He did not look like a very healthy individual, but he was doing a professional job as an actor, providing a legitimate character. I don't think anyone told him what the script was or what he was supposed to say or what the tone of any scene was. He would just start making jokes and saying things, which was more interesting than what else was going in the movie. It didn't match, but he was at least doing an acting thing, and I appreciate his professionalism for making an attempt in this movie. But basically, he's like the coroner, which again, like an 1800s coroner, like going through books and looking at bodies type thing. He would keep calling our like detective on a rotary phone. So again, not really sure what time frame this is, but he would be looking at the bodies that come in and say, "Oh, I noticed this thing, and you know the chemistry matches. The only animal that's out there is a bat that could do this type of thing." Eventually, Michael Ironside gets like killed by one of the other captains who's working with Dracula. I will mention
captains.
There's like a captain of the police force who turns out is like Van Helsing's boss, who turns out to be on the side of Dracula the whole time.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so there's this whole like...
He's got a human thrall.
Yeah. What was I going to say? So one thing I noticed in this movie is that whoever made it does not really know where the human heart is located. Because when they're killing vampires, they would make a point of saying, you have to put a wooden stake through their heart. And then people would get proceeded to be stabbed in the stomach. And it like, not once, but like 4 or 5 times in a row, it's like, oh, stab him through the heart. And then in the stomach. And it's like, you did it. So that was entertaining. So I watched multiple Asylum movies recently, and then also was on our first one. And one of the things I noticed, the biggest improvement that Asylum has made over the years was the side characters got a little more interesting. Like, in these movies, you have the eccentric bad guy or something like this. Some type of character that just adds a little bit of flavor to the movie. In the other movies that I watched, they did better at that. And the character that you should have as that character in this movie would be Dracula. He's Dracula. Like, you think about Gary Oldman in the original Bram Stoker's Dracula. He did all this wonderful, weird performances. The guy who plays Dracula in this movie is just some European guy who has no personality whatsoever. So, an unfortunate miss in this movie where they had an opportunity, but yeah, he was just weird European guy.
They should have cast Michael Ironside as Dracula.
They
could get him on set for longer than a day.
Michael Ironside was on set. He's probably about 300 pounds at this point in his life. Probably would have been a more entertaining Dracula, I agree. So yeah, basically they go back and forth with investigating. They eventually find out it's him. Dracula is pursuing Van Helsing's female fiancée. They do make a point of taking advantage of the lesbian relationship by having a very gratuitous love scene in the middle of the movie for absolutely no reason. But yeah, that's the whole, like, the plot is centered around they're investigating these killings, but Dracula has taken interest in Van Helsing's fiancée. He eventually takes her to, I don't know what you want to call it, his lair or whatever. So they gotta go save her. And then they do, and then the fiance just like opens the curtain and Dracula dies because he's had sunlight. It's very sad.
That's how they defeat Dracula.
But not before the entrance to the lair, which is like they walk in and there's like 4 or 5 topless women just like feeding on men randomly, and then again they have to stab them all through the stomach to kill them. But yeah, so not the worst Asylum movie I've ever made. Michael Ironside makes it a little bit better than what it could have been. But again, the most interesting fact to me through the whole thing was just trying to figure out what era this was supposed to be in, because every scene was different.
Where did they film this? Because like, was it like in old-timey buildings, or?
It was all like everything was indoors. So you can't go outside and you don't get a sense of like what the street is like. It's just like in somebody's living room. Every scene is just like a different living room.
Oh.
Well, presumably because the vampires can't go outside. Well, if it's night, I guess it doesn't matter. But
he's barely in the movie. Like, Dracula is not in the movie that much. And so you could. The biggest like set that they have is they actually have like a coroner's office where Michael Ironside is examining bodies, but everything else is literally just a living room somewhere.
That sounds quite different from the stuff that the rest of us watched. Like, way different. Because yeah, for us it was all like outdoors and.
Yeah, I noticed because Asylum,
So what was that
because they're
mean?
in LA, they have forests right nearby them in California, so they take advantage of the forests in a lot of other movies, or a warehouse. I've noticed they do a lot of warehouses as well. But this one, all living rooms.
It's just the houses of each of the actors in the movie.
I think it was an attempt to do a period piece. Like, I think that they were trying to do a Sherlock Holmes remake of Dracula that was supposed to be the late 1800s. And so, obviously, you can't go outside in, like, modern-day LA because, obviously, you're not going to dress up a whole street the way a professional movie does.
Why not? You got 30 days.
I remember living downtown Toronto when Suicide Squad came into town and they, like, redid all of Yonge Street. I was like, I don't think Asylum has the budget to redo a street to shoot a period piece. But yeah, that would be my guess. If I had to take a guess at what era this was supposed to be, I think it was supposed to be late 1800s. But again, whatever they were aiming for was very poorly executed.
Would you recommend this to anyone?
So, going back to one of the points you made earlier in the movie, the boob to quality ratio was probably highest in this than anything else.
I was gonna get to that as a very specific question.
Mina's going to watch that.
I'm glad you went right to it. So thank you, Carson.
I will say it's mostly dead women, like on the coroner's office table, so not like gratuitous nudity.
Do you like dead boobs?
Yeah.
Oh God.
I like dead boobs a little bit less than live. I mean, actually, a lot less. That's kind of weird.
This is taking a turn.
But also, isn't there a scene? You said there's a scene where there's like female vampires that are like their boobs are out and they're like attack, like
It's a pretty quick scene, but there is, as I had mentioned, a very gratuitous lesbian scene that does take its time.
Right. Okay. And it takes its time. Interesting. They're branching out in terms of their
12-year-old children here. There's one other thing. I mean, not so much with Carson's movie, but I noticed, like, I guess it also again feeds into the whole like timing of, okay, we got to get this out before this movie comes out, especially with Atlantic Rim, where they probably see what the movie is about in the trailer. Obviously, they don't have all the details of like what it's about, but then they have, okay, so there's giant monsters, there's giant robots, and the robot pilots have to use some like mental or like psychic
neural
link
thing. Yeah.
Whatever else the movie's about, we don't know, so we can't copy it that much. But this is what we know, and let's build around it.
We just make it up. That's right.
Yeah. And then
the
like
funny
Jurassic.
thing,
yeah.
sorry. I was going to say, and the funny thing is that Top Gunner came out in 2020, and that's when Top Gun Maverick was supposed to come out originally. But of course, COVID delayed it, and so they actually did a sequel to Top Gunner. There's 2 Top Gunners.
It's called Danger
And the second
Zone.
one, that's right. And and the second one, which I did not watch that one. The second one came out just last year in 2022 when Maverick came out. So it's like they're like, oh, Maverick's coming out 2022, so we got to do another one to match that.
So that one, Top Gunner Danger Zone, is actually the first Asylum movie to get a theatrical release. Yeah, I think they had like 6 screens.
They graduated from tricking people online or in video stores, and some poor hapless grandmas actually bought tickets to a movie to watch Top Gun and ended up watching Top Gunner Danger Zone.
To your point at the beginning about we're never going to do an episode 3 of this, I'm curious to see where Asylum would be at 10 years from now. Because seeing where they've come, it was... The things that we watched in our first episode, I would hesitate to even call them movies. Like, they were really the bottom of the barrel of what you could ever consider a movie to be. And now they're doing things which I would consider to be bad movies, but I would consider them to be a movie. And so that's
like an actual B movie or a C movie.
Which makes them more boring, but I wonder if in 10 years they could actually make like an okay movie.
I think the question is, would they want to? because like this is their brand.
Well,
right?
they'll need more than 30 days.
I think they are trying to make an actual movie, but I'm interested in it from like an operational efficiency perspective. If an organization can become like whoever that person is that edits sound on every single movie, like they have 1 week to put the entire sound effects on every movie that they do, like then they're just turning them out. If those people can become so efficient at their job and so good that they could actually do a half decent quality of sound design in a week, because this is like a conveyor belt of movie design.
Yeah, no, we won't need people. We'll have AI. We'll have Chat GPT. We'll do it.
Yeah.
Or maybe these are all the editors that the type of editors that Disney is looking for.
It's funny. I saw an interview with somebody who edits their movies, and they're like, "Yeah, he's going to try directing because he's already edited more movies in his like the first 5 years of his career than most editors do in their entire lifetime, because they're just like constantly churning out a movie every month."
Yeah. Yeah, and those are the timelines that Disney works on as well. I don't know if you've heard about that, like kind of controversy with Disney and like paying their CGI people and editors, like animators and stuff like that,
to just go like at breakneck speed.
Yeah, like there's a whole thing about how they're I don't know about mistreating. Should I even be bad mouthing Disney? They could just crush us. But yeah, that's true. But yeah, it's a whole thing about like, oh, everyone wants to get these contracts with Disney because it's Disney, but then when they're actually working for Disney, it's like, okay, these are like they're really cheap. They have unreasonable timelines. The working relationship is horrible.
You got to work 16-hour days.
Yeah, and they're always changing things, so you have to like whatever work you've done that could be changed at a moment's notice, but you can't speak out about it, or you can't fail, because if you do, it's Disney and you're blackballed from the entire industry, right? So
it's funny. I know somebody from Vancouver who was on one of the company that worked on either Black Panther or one of the other ones, like Ant-Man, and it seems like part of the payment that Disney does to make it all okay is to put them in the credits. Because I had like 4 or 5 people that I saw their LinkedIn post, and I'm sure they hated their job, because I've heard these stories as well, where Disney is like terrible to work for. But it's like, oh, you're the marketing manager for the company, and of those 5,000 names you see at the end of a Disney movie in the credits, it's like, oh, I'm one of them, so everything's okay because my name is on the credits of a Marvel movie.
That's some consolation.
They pay well? Because I mean, I think about Amazon, it's the same thing. No, Shay, you work at Amazon and you have horrible conditions, but apparently they pay more than the industry standard.
We're just firing shots at everyone today.
You know what? This will be
Who's
good
next?
For your
Facebook.
Podcast. Let them all come to you, then they'll like throw you shade. You'll get like 10x viewers. I'm here to make you guys famous.
That's how Asylum built their brand. They copied movies, then those movies did a bunch of lawsuits against them, and that's how people heard about more of their movies.
Do we want to be the Asylum of podcasts?
We're talking about Asylum now, aren't we?
Well, I mean, Carson keeps jokingly mentioning, or maybe half jokingly mentioning, that we might do another Asylum episode in the future. Carson, that might be the first idea from you that I turn down or bow out from.
Yeah, I think I learned my lesson after this one. I think the first time we did it, I was like, these are going to be so bad it's funny, and then they were boring. And then for some reason I thought, again, they got to be funny this time because they're so bad, and they're just boring. So
but
I'll
Carson,
have to re-listen to this to remember that they're just boring.
Carson, your curiosity is going to get the better of you in 5 years, right? You mentioned 10 years. I wonder where they'll be, but I bet in 5 years you're going to be like, oh, I wonder.
It'll take a movie that I hear about. Like, if there's some Asylum movie in the news that everyone's talking about, and it's like, oh, you got to see this one. It's so bad. It's funny. Maybe it brings me back. But I don't think I would just out of nowhere say, you know what? Let's do another Asylum movie.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Okay, well, I mean, thank you guys for joining us on this journey. I think it's a historical moment in our podcast because I think we've agreed that we will not do another one of these themed episodes, but I appreciate you suffering with us over the last week. Yeah, keep if you liked what you heard, like and subscribe. I don't know what to say. Follow us on Instagram at the Fan and the Critic, and keep up to date with our future episodes. Okay, bye.